Lampy, and I'm president of the Watertown Historical Society. And this is Marie Hilgendorf. She is president of the Dodge Jefferson County's Genealogical Society. And on behalf of both our organizations, we would like to welcome you to this very special event in this wonderful historic setting to celebrate local history and historic preservation. Is it good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you guys hear? Can everyone hear? Okay.
Yesterday, we held a very special ceremony here to formally dedicate the historic Schempfs building as an official City of Watertown historic landmark. Today, we're continuing the celebration by introducing you all to the amazing gentleman who purchased this building 11 months ago and has already done so much for Watertown's Main Street, Mr. Bill Limborg.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Schempfs building. A lot of you know it as Klein's, as Kresge's, as Montgomery Ward. So again, this is a day that we're trying to reconnect. Sorry for the noise here. We're trying to reconnect the community to ourselves, to our history. One of the beautiful things about Watertown is its history. We have so many wonderful people and speakers today that will reinvigorate us with our great history, what was in the past, which we certainly have to pay tribute to, what is, which is a great town full of life, full of history, and we also have to celebrate a new beginning, a new history, a new place to earmark where we're going. So today's function is hopefully connecting the past, providing a bit of a vision for the future, and certainly introducing many of those pioneering families that were here for years and left their mark, and this is one of the remnants of that mark, and so thank you so much for coming. One of our first speakers today is Mr. Nelson Fisher. His family, as maybe many of you know, have the Fisher building here in town and had definitely a pioneering family and had many years of business and affiliation with many parts of Watertown. So at this moment, I'd like to introduce Mr. Nelson Fisher.
I was just looking at the map here and trying to figure where we were. There's a dam down there, and our original store would have been right over here. And one of the interesting things for me has always been that that dam is about 12 feet high, and the dam on the other end of the town is 12 feet. So Rock River dropped about 25 or 30 feet in this area. That's how the town got started, from the energy of the river. So a brief history on our store. If I realized I was going to be up in front of this many people, I would have quit. Our store started in 1895, and my grandfather was the original one in there. And his father worked in the store. And anyhow, the Civil War ended in 1865, so that goes back quite a bit of time. There was a store in town called, I think it was Beer House, something like that, that my grandfather and a friend of his worked at, and they decided that maybe they'd go out on their own. So in 1895, they started out a store which was located right over here. Shortly after the store opened, Mr. Kellerman saw somebody running around his backyard at night, and he shot his pistol in the air, and somehow the bullet went up and came down and killed the individual. That was the end of our store. It just, people refused to come in. So anyhow, my grandfather on his own went out and started Charles Fisher's son, with Charles Fisher being his dad. So anyhow, that was in 1895, and Originally, we were in the Kuzel building, which I think was over here. I know it was over there. And we were on the first floor, and the business kept on getting better, and we went to the second floor, and eventually we ended up going into the third floor. And the building had an elevator in it. Now, I don't know what powered it, but anyhow, we did have an elevator. So in 1901, we incorporated, and in 1902, we opened up a store in Lake Mills. Again, you couldn't get in a car and get there any other way, so it took 2 days to go from one store to the other. In fact, it was, I saw a picture of that store, and they had at Christmas time, they had a Christmas tree with a bunch of candles in it, and the picture showed that there were Indians on the outside looking in at the Christmas tree. Okay, in 1917, we moved to the Masonic Lodge, which was across the river. And in 1916, the Masonic Lodge had burned out. The structure was still there, but the inside was completely gone. And they rebuilt it, and we moved in, on the first floor. The second floor were offices, and then the third floor was the Masonic Lodge. After a while, the Masons didn't like the idea. The buildings were like this, and so to go up to the third floor, it's like going up 5 normal floors. Buildings are just so high. In fact, I was just telling somebody, at one time we thought about putting in a floor between the ceiling and the main floor, and if we could have done it with 6 inches of flooring, we could have put another floor in. So you got a lot of wasted space, you got a lot of space you got to heat. I remember times going up there and changing signs, and temperature would be about 10 degrees warmer up there, then you know about that. Okay, and where am I at here? In 1966, the Masons decided that they wanted to sell the building. They wanted to get on one floor. So we bought the building, and there were offices on the second floor, and those people left, so we took over our store. Fisher's took over the first floor and the second floor. And the only one that stayed on the second floor actually happened to be a dentist. And I can tell you a funny story about that. After he left, and one time Todd, my son, went up, we were going to take the dental equipment out of there, and he found a little bit of mercury, just a real small bottle. And we didn't know what to do with it. We didn't want to put it in the river or pour it down the sink, so we called up the city hall. Within minutes, the building was surrounded. They had police out to stop traffic. The firemen were out there. They all had their mask on, and of course we had to get out of the building. And I remember they had a command post down there, and all these guys had masks on, and you could hear, this room is secure. All right, move to the next room. And this went for a better part of a day. They bought a special truck in from Milwaukee in order to haul a little bit of mercury away. Well, anyhow. Okay, at that time, some of you remember when the city hall they put in a new city hall. And the old city hall was the back of our store. And we bought the building from the city and said, we'll buy the building, but you have to put it in the parking. So that's how that that big parking lot got back there, which was a real benefit. Okay, after that, we bought the 2 buildings next to us and expanded into those buildings. And originally, in our basement, we had carpeting and all, things like that. In fact, we did big rolls of carpet. You just come in and say how many yards you want. You had 4 or 5 choices, and that was it. And we sold our clothing down there, men's clothing, and on the first floor we had the men's and women's accessories, and then the rest of that floor was made up of piece goods, which when we started, that was the main part of our business. And then on the second floor we had ladies ready to wear. When we moved the men's department from the basement up to the buildings next to us, the first year we doubled our business. Next year we doubled our business. It went like really, really went. One of the things I remember, we were selling about close to 1,000 suits or sport coat and pants per year. And there were 2 men's stores besides our store in Penny's, all selling men's clothing, and they all survived. And some of you remember Friday nights or Saturday nights here in Watertown, you couldn't, they had police on every corner, and the place, everything was really, really going. And a lot of the people came from Jefferson, Fort Atkinson, Conococheague, and north of here. I was dreaming about that happening again. I don't know. Okay. Anyhow, my grandfather started the business as Eli Fisher. His brother was the next president. Then my dad was president. Then I was president. And then Todd, my son, was president. So it really stayed in the same family all the way. After Todd and Lynn got in here, the business started going down. And they had some great ideas. We tried the internet business, and the problem that we ran into is internet business demanded one type of inventory, and then your regular business demanded another type of inventory, and financially we just couldn't handle the whole thing. So we did last, our 100th anniversary was on 1995, and we went to about 2010. We were listed in the Milwaukee Journal and Madison papers. We were the oldest family-owned business in the state when we went out. So, I don't know, anybody got any questions? I can tell you that when business was good, there wasn't anything more exciting than being in good business. Go ahead.
What were the name of the buildings that you moved into when you expanded? What businesses?
Oh, there were different ones. They had, at one time there was a meat market there, and they said too loud, but when they were there, we had mice and rat problems in our basement. Probably shouldn't say that. But anyhow, they sold records there, and the first building was 2 floors, and the second building was 3 floors, and there were apartments up above. And I'm not sure. The next building after that was a bank, so that would have been right here. So I'm talking about those 2 buildings. Well, that is the building that we had. But that was our location. I was just telling somebody else that the basement of the building that we were in had doors and windows. At one time, Main Street was at river level. And it flooded so much, I think, and anyhow, that became the basement. And, when they put the bridge in. So, okay, any other?
One question.
Yes?
When did the Fisher store in Lake Mills close?
Boy, I don't know, I'll tell you in a second. Do you remember it?
That's what I'm asking. I remember the store, but I don't know what it is.
All right. I'll look it up and talk to you about it. Yeah. Our store in Lake Mills never really did very well. But anyhow.
Nelson, I remember you used to pay and the money would go up some kind of a line to the balcony where they would give you the
correct.
change.
The office was mid-level, and they made the change up. Of course, that was our office, and they had wires that went down to different stations. And what you did is you put the cash in the sales slip in a little container, put it back on there, and then pulled the lever, and then the spring loader and would shoot up there. And if you didn't pull it hard enough, it didn't get there. And if somebody was sleeping up in the office, you pulled it really hard to wake them up. Banged up there. Then that happened. Then the next system we had was a pneumatic system, and there were tubes running through the building, and then of course we went up to the office. And then when we started with that, she put things in a little capsule, and then we shot it up there. Well, my grandfather, didn't really pay much attention, so when he started out, he just took all the money and the sales slip and stuck it in there, and went down through jammed up the whole deal. And I remember one time when I was working, got a phone call, and the guy was up in the northern part of the state. He said, "You still have that pneumatic system?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I'm going to call you at 8:45 tomorrow morning." And he had a radio station. He said, "I want to put the phone next to that pneumatic system so he could tell everybody about it." So we're known for different things. Okay.
One more.
Go ahead.
I just want to thank you. You had a wonderful store for several generations.
Well, thank you. It was, if the store was still going, I'd be working. It was so much fun being in it. And, one of the things that made it great was working with people. Anyhow, when I got out of, when I left the store, I thought, well, I just soon start working, keep working. And the problem that I ran into, people would hire me, but they'd want to hire you on Saturday afternoon, to Sunday evening, or Sundays, the times you didn't want to work, so you couldn't get else to work. Anything else? Okay, well, thank you. This is great to see this many people there.
So please, everyone, a round of applause. These are the Nelson family and what they contributed to Watertown, a true Watertown treasure. Thank you. So the next event is we'd like to have the Steinbach Quartet play, and we have Ken here that's put together a beautiful slideshow of Watertown, and you'll get to experience the history of Watertown on the slides, as well as some beautiful music. Please enjoy.
they've announced. And I was born and raised in Watertown, still living here, so it's been quite a while. I've enjoyed it very much. My father, Francis, was in the dairy cattle business and held dairy cattle sales, auction sales on a monthly basis. That was in Watertown. And that was very, very successful and sold a lot of dairy cattle. Dairy cattle were also sold privately by us too. After World War II, I returned to help my father in the business, and the price of dairy cattle seemed prohibitive to certain areas and certain people. So I decided that we'd probably try a rental contract. We rented cattle out, dairy cattle out on a 3-year basis, and at the end of the 3 years, they have the option of sending them back or of purchasing at a very low rate. In 1992, I established a private foundation in order to give back to the community some share of the success we've had. My wife Sharon joined me the following year, and we were married in 1993. We now manage the Joseph and Sharon Darcy Foundation with the help of a board of directors. We are able to donate generously the areas to which we're able to make donations. They must give, in order to give, they have to give officially to a 501c3 or be qualified through municipal ownership or religious affiliation. We have enjoyed giving back to the people of Watertown and plan to continue the program for some years to come. Thank you for allowing me to share the story. I will give you now Sharon Darcy.
Thank you, Joseph. I don't think I have to explain to you, I was not involved in the dairy cattle sales in any way. Joe used to say I could manage a business or a wife, but not at the same time. So he chose to marry after he retired from the cattle sales business. But I have had an incredible learning experience with working with the foundation. It's amazing what can happen when you have a generous person like Joe. He really has given back so much, and he will continue to do that. But it's exciting to be part of the program. He looks forward to the scholarships every year. I think that's his favorite thing. When we first started the foundation, you can imagine it was very small. We only gave 1 or 2 scholarships that first year, and they weren't very big. But this past May, we were able to give 7 scholarships, each for $6,000. Now that part was in the paper. The rest of it you seldom read about. Joe's a very humble man. He gives quietly and enjoys it very much. We have been able to give to the Watertown Historical Society. Melissa's aware of that. We're because they do qualify, as she knows, through the 501c3, and she was very instrumental in getting that reestablished. Thank you, Melissa. Yes. Of course, the Watertown Food Pantry and all the other charities that you're well aware of. We do give to each of our alma maters. That includes my school from Iowa and Joe's UW-Madison. Watertown Family Aid, Watertown Food Pantry, the Both the St. Bernard's and St. Henry's Educational Endowment have been recipients of Joe's generosity. And Rainbow Hospice, if I had my glasses, I could read a lot more. But each year now, we have been able to distribute about $100,000 every year, and it's fun. Do you have any questions at all that Joe could answer while we're still here? But it's been a great experience for me, just being along for the ride. Our board of directors continues to invest wisely, and they will be hopefully able to continue that long after we're gone. The foundation will survive. Thank you.
So again, another wonderful example of Watertown treasures right here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. I think we wanted to introduce Debbie, who is part of the Genealogy Society. I go back quite a few years with Debbie. Some of you may have read a little bit about my family history, but my first experience here in Watertown was to really bury my parents. My mom had a wish to be buried with her family here. We have a beautiful cemetery with all of our family there, mostly at Oak Hill. It was a wonderful experience coming to this town for the first time and discovering it, and to seeing what we're doing here today. So I hope all of you can take a little bit of that passion back with you today, and know that this is a beautiful town. This is a beautiful part of the world, and I've traveled extensively throughout many parts of the world, and I love it here, and I hope all of you will take a moment of time to think about Watertown and what we have and what we can build here. So I appreciate that. Now I'll turn the microphone over to Debbie.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited. This is a great turnout. I'm really happy to see everybody here. Bill and I have been working together. Actually, I believe we're starting our 5th year. His family is just massive. And to my surprise, when Ken Riedel brought him over to my table and introduced him to me, I thought it would be just a normal family like I normally work on. It was phenomenal. I mean, so many families that, anyway, I put together a few graphs of Bill's trees that are over on the tables over here with our Dodge County Jefferson Genealogical Society. If you want to take a look at them, and you can see his connection to the Schempf family. And also, how many of you have family that has been here in Watertown in the early 1800s, mid 1800s? How many of you? You all need to come over to the table there, the Dodge Jefferson Genealogy Society, and they can actually look up for you your family name and tell you how much we have down in our little treasure mine down at the, if you don't know where we are, please ask. There is so much down at the Genealogy Society for you, and hopefully your research. But I would like to thank Ken Riedel, standing right here, Ken. He is the man that got me involved in all this. And I'd like to thank the people that are with us from our Genealogy Society. We have Carla Borth over at the table. Carla. Doris Friedel. Bob Webster, where are you, Bob? And Marie Hilgendorf. They've all been great helps. So I put together just a little short little slideshow here. These are some of the things that you can find when you come down to our library, and there's very many different, here, actually this is from, okay, more brick blocker, George G. Schempf, and that's a mistake there, is now engaged in moving the wooden, well, you can read for yourself here, but this is something that I found in the paper from the Watertown Democrat. We have lots of newspapers down there. We have microfilm. You can come down and find obituaries and just so much. You have to come visit us. Okay, we can go to the next. Okay, this was an interesting one. Chief of Police H.C. Block of Watertown, Wisconsin, notified the local police authorities that a large quantity of valuable furs, men's and women's garments, silk. I think I'm too close. And dry goods was stolen from the store of the Schempfs Brothers Company, and requesting them to be on the watch for any attempt that may be made to dispose of the stolen property. So that was kind of interesting find. And this, I picked this out because if you come down just a hair, Ken, that was in the New York Times, and it mentions the Schempfs Brothers from Watertown, and I thought that was kind of interesting, that to show how big they were and how out there they were, the Schempfs Company. Okay, next. Oh, this was nice too. Building Dennis Block of the West, Jones Block on the east side of our office are rising above their foundations in fine style. When finished, they promise to be able to speak for themselves. Schempfs Block, adjoining the John W. Dole, is also underway. The private houses of all sorts and sizes are now in progress of erection throughout the city. We entirely too numerous to mention. And that was in the Watertown Daily Times.
Debbie, do they mean by block one building or from corner to corner? You know what they mean when they talk about Dennis Block, Schempfs Block, Jones Block?
That was just, that would be like this block was called the Schempfs Block.
Every building on it.
Yeah, if they were on the Schempfs Block, yeah. Yeah, okay, now here we have, this is, well, down there we have Schempf family here. There's Leonard Schempf. Gosh, I should have had a second copy here. Okay, can we bring it down to see? Bring it down to see what year and... Okay, this was in 1880. A census that, there we go. And is that Leonard? Oh, and there's John. Thank you. So this was what a census record from 1880 looks like. And there's also, if we go to the next one, here's the this one is from when they were living in Emmett, and actually a lot of people didn't know that John Schempfs' parents had a farm out in Emmett, and that's what they were doing before they came here. And you can see their names there. George F. Schempf, farmer. Yeah, and they actually had Catherine, mother there. She was living with them out there in Emmett. Okay, next. Now this is kind of what they call a tick census, where they don't name all the names on the census, but what they do is they put, two boys, 3 girls, and just the name of the head of the household. And I just wanted to show you the different kinds of census records. There we go. Okay, we can go to the next. Oh yeah, and this here, if you look at this, here we go down to, we have to raise it, please. Now, this is Bill's relatives here. It says Plugman. Yeah, and that's one thing that I wanted to share with you is, the names when you're doing research, they aren't always exact. People wrote down what they heard. If they heard, actually that's supposed to be Plegeman. Plegemann. And down below here is Kruger. It should be Kruger, Krueger, and they just called them Kriegers. Yes.
The name of their trouble swiffle is Traga Schwefel.
Oh, there we go, the Schwefels.
Yeah, that's an example of how they really messed up the name.
See, yeah, and I wanted, that's part of, part of your work with genealogy is you gotta kind of listen to what you're reading almost, and the people that were taking these census records and the ship records and stuff, they just wrote down what they heard, so never get discouraged. Okay, next. And this one here, let me see. Well, there we have our Schempf family. That's too close for my mind.
I don't know what we're looking for.
Oh, there, Ferdinand Spear. That's showing, now Ferdinand Spear was Bill's great-great-grandfather. And he was a butcher. And if you go down a little bit more, I think we have the Schempfs on there. Oh, it's so hard for me to read here.
I don't see it.
Anyway, this is another, that was another census that was, no, here we have another, this was in the Gazette. Sunday at 12 o'clock, Mrs. Joanna Schempf, a resident of Watertown for 50 years, died at the home of her son-in-law William F. Boss, North 4th Street. The deceased was her usual good health until the evening previous to her death, when she complained of feeling ill. Well, you could probably read that quicker than I can. But anyway, this is an example of the obituaries that we have. Tons of obituaries down at our library. So there we go. And also we have the cemetery records. So we have I'm not sure how many. It's a gold mine. It's a gold mine down there, and this is George, of course, and okay, Oh, this is the one that I was thinking of. Now, this is from the Weltberger. We have Weltberger books and all the newspapers from the Weltbergers. This here started out, we have Ferdinand Spear up there, which was Bill's great-great-grandfather. And when you scroll down, mentioned in the same article was, when you scroll down, you can, I can't see from here. There we go. Theodore Huber. There you have Carl Goldner, William Schimmel. These were all relatives of the Spears and Bill. So, and this is just something that I toss into when you're doing those tick censuses that I was telling you about, where there's no names and just little scratch marks. This helps you. The census comparison form. If you can pick these up or copy them off the internet, and it makes it so much easier to read those census records. So that's, I think that's pretty much all I have. So thank you so much. Please come visit. Thank you. I want to see some of you down at the library. So thank you so much.
So again, just to remind everyone, both the historic and genealogy societies here in Watertown are just a wealth of information. They have painstakingly indexed, scanned. It's such a wealth of knowledge. So if you have any family members that are kind of getting into their genealogy, please send them down to research. It's a wonderful group of people, and you'll be shocked at how much information that they painstakingly save. And again, it's part of our Watertown treasure, so please take use of that. Another person I wanted to introduce today is my neighbor, Jim Body. He has the coal building next door. I'm hoping he is one of our next recipients of one of these plaques that we earmark the coal building next door. The Cole family was a very prominent family here in town as well. You probably recognize the name. And he is basically one of these kind of new people that have come to town, not new here, but have actually restored his building, brought back a beautiful use, have a wonderful business. And he and Carol spend hours bringing back life to our historic Main Street. So I thought it was important to have him here today and introduce himself and tell a little bit about his building, his history, and his vision of Watertown. So please welcome Jim.
Welcome everyone. It's a great pleasure to be talking to you and seeing you all here and enjoying a recap of Watertown's history and looking at its future. I came here in 1990, grew up on the south side of Milwaukee, lived in a lot of farmland around. It reminded me so much of Watertown where I grew up. And I serviced mortgage lending for Security Savings Loan, which became Security Bank, which became M&I, which now is BMO Harris. So I got to know a lot of people in Watertown. I've always felt I've been kind of people-oriented. Well, Carol had been president of the Watertown Business Association. And during her tenure, we had heard about the Main Street program. So we decided that might be a good route to go for revival of Watertown. So we spent about 6 months putting together the application, raising the proper funds to, we had to get $15,000 a year from 3 sources, business, city, and private donations. and had to have $45,000 budget a year for 3 years. We put that together. We're about 3 months into this application process, which took us about 6 months. And a local attorney pulled up to the corner to cross 2nd and Main going north. And a piece of glass put me in the position I'm in now. It blew out of the window on the 3rd floor, landed on the attorney's car, his brand new Chrysler minivan. He promptly went over to City Hall, got the building inspector involved. The building inspector went through our building, and he wasn't our building, structurally condemned the building. My thoughts with the building experience I have is that that building with 1 or 2 years of heavy snow would have collapsed. The attic, 3rd floor attic, is a barn truss system. The barn beams, the beams are 9 by 14 inches. There are 5 of them that span the width of the building, 82 feet. 8 of those 10 ends had rotted out. 1 had rotted 2 feet back, and it fell 13 inches out of the beam pocket. In the meantime, the roof had failed, water was curling in, getting in the mortar and bricks, deteriorating the mortar. When I went up there, I could reach in, pull out handfuls of clay and sand. So the building was very close to collapse. Well, after our building inspector structurally condemned the building, a letter was sent to the owner who lived in Charlottesville, North Carolina. He promptly came up to argue his case. He did not want to invest any more money than he already had in the building. And the building inspector, with the city council permission, gave him a 90-day notice to complete the structural repairs of the building, at which time he said he would not do so. And while he was talking to the building inspector on the 3rd floor, fell through the floor, landed on a joist on his crotch. So he had been arguing that the building wasn't as bad as the building inspector was telling him, but he promptly changed his mind. Well, his alternative, if the building was not structurally repaired within 90 days, the city would tear down the building at his expense and turn it into a 20-car parking lot. We felt that if we allowed that to happen, or the city allowed that, or whoever, I didn't know at the time, that we never would have gotten the Main Street program award. So we decided to offer him $1 to salvage the building. And he made a very wise decision on his part, because it would have cost him about $350,000 to have the building torn down. The city would have credited the value of the land against the expenses, put in the parking lot, and he would have had to come up with $300,000 to $400,000 to pay for the demolition. So with the background in it, Carol had been using an engineering firm in Oconomowoc for structural repairs on houses she was selling. It's Carol's Water Street Realty. We promptly contacted John Robinson, had him come out and analyze the building. And the report was kind of what I expected, but it involved a great amount of money and work to restore. John Robbins was affiliated with an architect. His name is Larry Cassens. He was in Delafield. I got him out here, and we looked at the building. And Carol and I both pooled our money, $860,000. We borrowed about $250,000. We ended up spending to this point $1.3 million to get the building where it's at today. But I'm so proud to have be involved in saving that building with its history. For those of you that don't know, John W. Pohl and his brother Luther arrived in Watertown in 1838. And they built, or not built, but had a grocery store on North 4th Street near Stacy's Tavern, right near that corner. He eventually built one of the first dry goods stores, 2-story wood structure on 2nd and Main across the street from where the Pohl building stands now. In the mid-1840s, they started manufacturing Watertown brick. He decided to build the Pohl building, Pohl Hall building. It was started about 1840. 1849, finished in 1850. Luther had left his sweetheart when they moved here from Philadelphia. He tried to convince her to come back, and the trouble with Chief Black Hawk War, she would not move out here, so Luther moved back to Philadelphia. John finished the building, ran it on his own J.W. Cole dry goods. J.W. Cole Hall had many fantastic functions. The ballroom, January 10th of 1854, the first state of Wisconsin Grand Military Ball was held up there. 155 officers and their ladies attended that event. They had to climb 3 flights of stairs, 19 steps per floor. I can just picture them in their military outfits with their swords, whatever, and the ladies in their skirts, finery. So we went on to finish the building. We found out about historic tax credits. That helped us somewhat. We were both employed at that time. I retired in 1998. Devoted full time. Took us 15 months to get the building where you see it today. Our first tenant was Bellows Brew Pub. There were 2 copper and stainless steel vats, 10-barrel vats in the window that you might remember seeing. They were a tenant for 5.5 years. Gave us notice, left in September of 2007. Carol and I looked at each other and said, now what do we do? Well, my family heritage is German and Irish. My mother's side of the family was Irish, family named Lyons. So to honor my mother and my grandfather, we named it Lyons Irish Pub. And part of the reason I got involved with that too is my kids had paid for a round-trip ticket and 1 week stay in Ireland. My daughter Jill, my oldest daughter, works at County Clare in Milwaukee. She's was the front desk manager there for 16 years, and somehow convinced me in my 60s to be a bouncer there. I worked 12 to 15 nights a year for special events, big bands. I even got to throw some customers out on occasion. But because of my heritage and because of that experience and Jill's experience working there, the owner of County Clare owns 7 other facilities in Wisconsin, plus he owned a inn in Ireland where I stayed on my trip to Ireland. So there was a lot of feelings from those experiences and a lot of feeling for how we should decorate our pub, how we should handle it. And both Carol and I being involved with people, we really enjoy the work we do. Never in my life retired did I expect I'd be running a pub in my 70s. But we have a party room on the side. We've had over 300 parties in there. We've actually had 2 weddings. We've had 3 Irish wakes, many wedding receptions, retirements, birthdays, you name it. In fact, we have a graduation party going on over there today. One of the things we've attempted to do is to bring a little culture to Watertown. We have, from September through May, we have at least one weekend night, 3 or 4 nights a month. We have Irish music, we have blues, we have jazz. We try and provide some good entertainment. There's no charge to attend. We don't charge a cover. But we offer this for the enjoyment of the community. We have, within the last 3 months, we've been working towards trying to finish the rest of the building. What we'd like to do is a full-service restaurant on the 2nd floor featuring Irish foods as well as regular cuisine. Refurbishing the ballroom, which, by the way, is 22-foot high ceiling. It's coved, it has rounded corners, a tray, so it's a recessed area. But because we're applying for historic preservation tax credits, which I got word were approved, partially approved, it will be restored as it was for that first military ball in 1854. We We also, we have a flat roof area that was added onto the building in 1871. We want to do an outdoor deck, provide dining and adult beverages. We applied with the state of Wisconsin a week ago Thursday for the 20% historic preservation tax credits. Never got official word, but I think somebody left the letter out of the package. I got a FedEx package on Thursday from the state. And Friday morning, Washington time being a little different than ours, Friday morning, 7 o'clock, I received a phone call from the Historic Preservation in Washington, D.C., and the woman that called was the head of the department, wanted me to answer a couple of questions, do a little bit of additional information, so I assume that process is going to be approved as well. Bill and I, in order to proceed, are asking the city to put us in a TIF district so that we can also, through that source, get additional funds to do this work. So I give my condolences to Bill, or sympathies, or whatever. 15 years ago, I started my process, and we're still working through it. Probably a lot having to do with deciding to take over the pub area and working 60 hours a week in there. Lost a little enthusiasm, a little energy for pursuing that, but with Bill here now and his enthusiasm and energy, I think we're both going to go forward with our hopes and dreams to bring some quality things to Watertown, revive these old buildings, and hope you all come over and enjoy it. I thank you very much.